at my sticky notes. Oops, stop it. Don't look at my sticky notes. They're all secret. Shh. Nobody needs to know what my chores are, right? Okay, sewing machine, table. Microphone's actually on and plugged in, so hopefully it's working. Yeah. I think I have an idea for the next live stream. I just need to figure out how to use my new tripod. It's been a really busy October. Now, hey, happy November, everybody. It's been a very busy October, so I don't know. I haven't taken the time to use it. I don't know how to use it. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Giovanna. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Connie. Good morning, good morning. I'm trying not to walk near the tripod, but of course, that's what I need to do. I slept in a little this morning. I've been having a problem of staying up till 1 a.m., so when I say I slept in, it was till 7:30. That's really not sleeping in very much, but I slept in. Hi, Susan. Sunny and in the 50s. It's still in the 80s here, but it gets down to a chilly in the evenings. Hi, Audrey, June. Welcome, welcome. I am working with scraps today, so I'm not quite fully prepared because, there's not a lot of time between 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock when you have to do all the things you have to do. Thankfully, I don't actually eat breakfast. I drink it, so I don't have to worry about that. But my dishes are done. The cats have been fed multiple times. Everything's been cleaned up. Water for the iron. I have the iron. I have my scraps. I cut fabric this morning. We're making coasters, so I have the back of the coasters and the batting for the coasters. Don't need the mouse. I think I'm in good shape. Hi, Judy. Every now and then I remember my spiel. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I am really terrible at being able to read the little comments up there and to catch everyone's name when I'm sewing. I'm kind of paying attention to that. So if I miss you popping in and out of the chat, I apologize if I don't say hi, but I want to just say hi to everyone and a huge welcome to our lurkers for those of you that are getting stuff done while we're just sitting here rambling. And I always love my replay people. It's really hard to catch a live stream when it's live. Sometimes your internet just doesn't like it and you have to catch it afterwards. So I hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend so far. Good morning, Cindy. Oh, rain would be nice, would be nice. Hi, Amy. Good morning to better days. Oh, tonight is, I was just checking my calendar. Tonight is daylight savings, so everyone is going to be changing. Excuse me while I fix calendars and stuff. Now remember, Arizona doesn't have daylight savings time, so I'm not going to be changing my time. So you guys might have to adjust whether you're 1, 2, 3, 5, 7 hours difference from where we are here. You can always ask Mr. Google what time it is in Arizona tomorrow so you know our time differences. Hi, Tina from Indiana. Since you shared your name, I'm going to put you on my cheat sheet so that I know your name and your YouTube sign. Excuse me while I bend over and do this. MADDTT1, and you are Tina. That way, if you want to know, if you want to be called by your name, I can say your name or I can say your, I guess, call sign or whatever. We have people from a little bit all over the place, which is really fun. No, I did not. I cheated and I looked you up. You're number 2 on my list, Amy. As I was saying hi to you, I just kind of looked over to the side and found your name. I could remember people's names. I'm not a terrible person. I struggle with names if I say them regularly, but I can free up a little extra space to remember my own name if I write yours down. I mean, I recognize your names, and I know like if you've been here a lot, or if I've seen a comment from you, or saw your name on someone else's YouTube channel or something like that. But yeah, I'm terrible with faces and names. I can't. I'd be like, you look familiar, and I probably should know your name. And I'll be like, oh, I think it starts with an L, and then someone will say, no, it's Amy. I'm like, yeah, see, I'm terrible. I have good meaning, right? My heart is in the right place. 54 in West Texas. Whew. It's 74 in my bedroom with 52% humidity, so it's been pretty nice. It got down to, I saw the temperature was 73 when I woke up this morning. I appreciate that. And it's just getting chilly enough. I had to buy a new pair of slippers because the floor is chilly under my feet, so I prepared for that. It's one of those, it's that time of year in October here and in Florida where the temperatures start to feel better because they're like down in the 80s with less humidity in Florida. And it's not 100 here in Arizona, but it's still not cool. But overnight here, it gets nice and cool, so I have a quilt on my bed. Ooh, Amazon shipping, interrupting me talking. So my bed is nice and snuggly in the morning, and I definitely don't want to get out of bed because it's not cold, but it's just a little chilly. Yeah, exactly, Giovanna. If I say it over and over and over again, I'm pretty good. And like next time on our next live stream, I'll remember that it's Amy. But then, how many? I think we have extra. We have we have 5 Saturdays and 5 Sundays this month. My calendar, as you can see, is right behind the computer. So there will be 3 weeks in between our second live stream and then into December. And I'll forget everyone's name again. But once we get going, then I'm good. Good morning, Rick from Mesa. Not too far from here, so you're enjoying the cooler weather too, I would imagine. BC Tracy is here. Giovanna, I am not using my Juki. I am still on my brother. I went and ordered a bobbin case online, and I laugh because it's coming from Port Charlotte, Florida, which is 20 to 30 minutes from my Florida house. And it's going to take a week here because I ordered it on Amazon where I found the best deal, and I wanted an original one. So this is my brother. Now, a lot of the things with, oh, I can't take it out. A lot of the things with the brother and the Juki are interchangeable. The Juki's bobbin case is the round black one, and it's got a silver little bump in the center. Now, the brother is a flat silver base to it, and it has 2 giant holes in it. My Juki is expensive. It's a really costly machine, and it's been into the shop. I already had to have the timing adjusted. I don't want to put a cheap $15 bobbin into a expensive machine. So I decided to just go ahead and spend the money. I think I got it. They're normally $90, and I think I found one for around $60, including shipping, but it's being shipped by the mail, and it's supposed to be here either it was between October 30th and November 2nd. So I'm thinking that that's the problem. Yeah, it was kidnapped in the shop, definitely. It was there for quite a while. It's out now and everything. No, I don't have 2 houses, but I lived in my house in Florida for 42 years. I don't even have a house here. This is a rental house. I live with my adult children. Excuse me. One second. Sorry, I choked on my own saliva. But the house I owned in Florida, was in Cape Coral, which is just 20 or 30 minutes basically from Port Charlotte downtown. Probably going to end up choking to death one day on my own fault. My apologies. No, I still, besides, I lived in Florida for 42 years in the same town, so I kind of that's home base, It's home base. Excuse me while I peek in. Hi, Jill from Fort Wayne. Hey, Ellen. Morning, morning. I can tell my allergies are bothering me because I can't see the writing very well today, and that is fine. This is the bowl cozy that I worked on. You guys saw the 9 patch, and then I put some fabric on the inside. Let me sneak over here. Excuse the camera from bouncing. So I have the quilting you saw there, and then on the inside, it's kind of hard to see, but I did diagonal quilting 2 inches apart. But when I made these, because the 9 patches were so large versus I needed a 10.5 inch square and they were like 12.5 inches, I have all of these strips that I cut off the side, off 2 sides of it. And some of these are 1.5 inches to almost 2 inches wide. That is definitely scraps worth using. So I thought I'd sew it together today and make coasters. And I went into my Christmas scrap bin that I have on the rainbow shelf behind me, and I cut out, first I cut out a whole bunch of batting, and I ended up with, I think, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. And then I cut 8 backing fabrics. I don't know how many I'll get out of this, but if I don't have enough to make 8, then I'll go into my Christmas scraps and just make some extra. And then these will go into the shop as random Christmas coasters, not a can I have, I mean, you could always request based on the back of the fabric, but I'm just going to put them in the shop as a random thing. And what I like to do is I like to see your Etsy order, and I like to read your name and see where you live and just get a feel for it. And I don't know you, and I don't know what you might want, but if you order other things, I try to match it. If you just order some coasters, I'd be like, oh, well, maybe they like an old-fashioned Christmas, or, maybe they like snowmen, and whatever my heart says that you guys want is the one I put in there. And that's the way I do it. I don't know. I've seen the bowls, Giovanna, with the plastic snaps, but you would have to be really careful. Like, you can make it for yourself, but you couldn't make it to sell in a shop because I would be hesitant to put the plastic snaps in a microwave. You made it! Becky made, now I knew Becky's name because Bays and Becky are really close. I did look and double check, but I had that one. I had that one. Becky's been chatting for quite a while with her name, and I struggled for a long time with hers too. We were just discussing earlier, Becky, about how I'm terrible with names. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about the snaps. Like, I wouldn't mind for myself. I do have some projects coming up that I'm going to be working on. I really want to make some fabric baskets and then some bowls and different things like that. And that's coming, up in my crafting time. I don't know what I'll do for videos. I do have some videos. I might do a remake. I really appreciate everyone rewatching yesterday's video. We talked about that, like I said, in the last live stream about bringing up some of the older ones. I honestly was going to put out a video this week, but with all of these crazy doctor's appointments and everything else just running together, I've been talking to a lot of people, and October has been a crazy month. Nothing bad or scary, but just everyone seems to have something happening. Like, you stubbed your toe and you're limping for 3 days, or you need a new bobbin case for your sewing machine, you have a bunch of appointments or something like that. Just silly little things, that thankfully aren't scary and bad to deal with, but it's like little stumbling blocks. Oh yeah, for sure, Giovanna. See, the problem is when you sell things, like, you're thinking probably like what you would make for yourself. When I look at things, I have to think, what would I put in the shop? And people do not read the listings or the information in the description or anything. Not everyone, just in general, the shops on Etsy have found that people don't pay attention. So if you put the word bowl cozy, or you have to be like really careful, because people put everything in the microwave. They don't read, and they just put it in there. It's just like, whatever. Audrey did a zipper pouch. Woohoo! I'm just so happy when people conquer that fear. Now, if someone makes their first zipper pouch, I'm cheering you on all the way. And then if you're like, Robin, I don't like doing zippers, but you tried it, so that's cool. But once you try it, I feel like after you make that first one, whether it's perfect or it's been a mistake and you have some issues, like you cut the end of the zipper off before putting it into the center to turn it right side out, or it's crooked or something. Once you get past that first one, it's not that hard. And it's not like making a quilt, because a quilt could be a year-long project, especially for a beginner. But a zipper pouch, you could do it in a weekend or a couple weekends if you just need to take the time. And then you could do it again next week and try again. So you get that practice one after the other, and it doesn't take as long. I just think it's great. Yes, Jackie, I did see that they've been talking about it most of the summer, and it's been coming across my Instagram a lot. I don't have grandchildren, and as far as I know, my children won't be specifically having their own children, but they might pick up a couple strays along the way, if you know what I mean, like someone who already has kids. And I think it's really cute. I don't have a bookshelf where I keep books or anything. Otherwise, I would probably buy the books and make the little stuffy, kind of like the flat version or something like that. They're really cute. I haven't read the book or anything like that. Yeah, Giovanna, once you have that knowledge, right? And for a lot of people put the tabs on it and they're fine. But the people that struggle when they don't put the tabs on the end and they use a longer zipper, it becomes easier for them and they have more success. Stay hydrated. Because, man, if you live in a desert atmosphere, it just becomes your job being hydrated, I swear. When I go out and about during the week and I don't drink as much water, I always have to make up for it the next couple days by drinking like a gallon a day. That's fun, Jackie. That's fun. I like the idea of having books and like something to go with it, whether it's a toy or a stuffy or a little mini quilt. And I love the idea. I saw it. Of course, we didn't have much internet when my bigger kids were little, but I love the idea of getting special books for Christmas, whether they're Christmas books or just good books that your kids will like, and wrapping them up in a bin underneath the tree. And then each day the kid pulls out a book and then you do a family read out, read along, you read it out loud to them and stuff. I think that's a really fun idea. And then if you have one for each child, as they get older or something, they can take it to their kids and do it that way. I think it's just such a sweet idea, and it allows the kids to open up something every day. And if there's like new books that you can rotate in and out, I think that's really fun. Happy Halloween. Hi, Sue. Happy Halloween. Yeah, I use a longer zipper. It just makes life so much easier. Oh, Giovanna, I get up in the middle of the night and have to put eye drops in because it's just so dry and sandy and gritty. I do take a water bottle with me, but the problem becomes is I don't drink as much because I don't want to have to stop and find a bathroom all the time. They're not always clean, you know what I'm saying? They're not always clean. So some of these strips have the quilting on it because it quilted past the batting and stuff. And with a coaster, I'm not even going to worry about it, except this one is sticking out. Now, I was looking at these when I first came out before you guys joined me. And if I take one of these and fold it in half, now I want to make 6.5-inch coasters. I could go a little smaller if I have to. See, like one of these, all of them aren't wide enough to make 2 coasters. But you know what I was thinking I would do is, what if I did a jelly roll race with my scraps? If I sewed them end to end and then just kept folding them and sewing them until I got something a little bit, I like about a 7-inch one for the front so that I can quilt it. And on the back, I just like it to be, this looks like it's about 7 inches or so also. I like the back larger so that when I put the front, which is trimmed to 6.5 inches, I have that extra space and I don't have to match up the edges. So that's what I'm going to do today. We're going to make jelly roll coasters with my scraps. I thought that might be, as we're heading into Christmas season, for me, I do autumnal projects in October with Halloween, and now it's more like concentrating on Christmas stuff. So at some point in the next week or so, I'll take all of my Halloween and autumn fabric off the shelves here and put it away in the closet. I have all of my Christmas fabric out, and I still have the bins in the garage that I have to go through. Oh, I want to trim these. Do I need to trim these? I think I need to trim these. I was supposed to be trimming these while chatting with you, but you know I can't do two things at the same time. That's one of my concerns. Like maybe I shouldn't do the jelly roll. Maybe if I won't have to trim them all equal if I don't do the jelly roll. Some of these are a little uneven, so I think those specifically could use a good trim. And this one is 1.25 inches. Ooh, my hands are shaky today. That's okay. I ate candy corn pumpkins before the live stream. Maybe it's just too much sugar. Yeah, I'm usually out anywhere from 1 to 3 hours if I'm just doing something. When we were back in Florida, I would do, because I didn't do there was no need, right? The Walmart, even though the Walmart here is just a mile away, but I don't know, Walmart just seems so crazy here. But anyway, I would take the whole day, like once or twice a month, I would spend 4 or 5 hours out and I would go to 5 or 6 different stores, get all my groceries for the month and stuff. And then on the second run, I would just have to go out and maybe get milk or something like that, or if I wanted some more lettuce. All right, so I think then what I'll do, maybe I'll just take 2 strips. I'm just going to sew strips too. It's not rocket science, right? I'm just sewing scraps. I think I'm going to take 2 strips and sew them side by side. Maybe I'll match up. You guys see? Yeah. Maybe I'll match up the seam allowances and then let just the extra be extra. And then go that way, or I kind of like the wackadoodle that way better, but not these two because they both have that red right there. So I think I'll just sew 2 together and not worry about where the seams are. And afterwards I can always pick out that quilting if I choose to, or I might just quilt right over it. Any opinions on the matter here? Again, it's just scraps and everything like that. Jackie says Lisa, her daughter, does a book advent. They open a book every night up to Christmas starting December 1st. I think it's a great idea. Yeah, you can get either your favorites from when you grew up or head to Goodwill and pick up stuff there. Giovanna, you're stumped on Christmas presents? I don't think my children listen to my live streams. I know my daughter does listen to my regular videos because she knows I ramble a lot and she learns about my life, even though, you know, she talks to me all the time, but I don't tell her everything, not on purpose, just out of, I don't think about it. But for my kids this year, I usually just give them a gift card and let them get whatever they want. But I think Robbie being the youngest, and he's still the one trying to figure out life and everything, he gets his hand knit socks, fingerless gloves that I'm knitting, and then I'm going to give him a gift certificate. But I know my daughter Miranda, I'm buying her some like household things, like some fun coasters I saw and some storage items, just things to help her stay organized. And my son Justin, my oldest, he's really like a Lego maniac. So I asked him to please let me know, you know, some Lego stuff. Otherwise, last year I wanted to buy him new knives, but he wanted them, but then he wouldn't like pick out the knives. All right, so this one is a little short. I think I should just do this so that I don't have to worry about it. And then anytime I need to, because otherwise I'll be sewing weird, you know, over stuff that doesn't mix. You would, yeah, Giovanna, I don't think I want to put the seams together. I think for the coasters it would be more fun. Well, 5-inch won't help me, Sue, because I need 6.5 for the coasters, unless I'm misreading your comment. I think I'm going to do 2 by 2 and see where that gets me, because I can always cut 6.5 wherever it lands, and then either piece all the little bits together for some fun ones, because I do like to have like free gifts to add in. I tuck in a flamingo sticker because I think that's just fun, because, you know, the flamingo is my thing, my mascot. And then it would be nice, I like to, with certain orders, if you come into my shop on a random day and you spend $6, I probably won't tuck anything in. But if you come in and you buy, like, I've seen people come in and buy, especially with the, thank you guys so much for helping me with Mocha's vet bills and shopping the sale. So some people went and bought like 12 items and they still only had to spend, you know, $50 or $60. So the amount of items I would want to tuck something in. And also for, you guys can hear me and everything, right? Also, when people spend like over $100, I definitely like to tuck something in. When I was at CVS getting my shingles 2 shot and my tetanus shot, I picked up some more. The Arizona postcards, they're still 20 cents for postcards at CVS, in case anyone is curious. See, these two would have the same present, so I'll try to skip that. So I did, now I'm going to put this one on top, so I will trim that in a minute. So I picked up I picked up 2 of all of their postcards, so I've been tucking in an Arizona postcard. Now, I don't know if anyone wants them or anything, but I figure maybe they can give them to the grandkids, or, you know, write notes on the back of them, put a grocery list on it, and then throw it away if they want, recycle it, or they can mail it to a friend or just keep it if they want. I leave them blank. I don't write on them or anything. So I did tuck those in. Yeah, a gift card plus, I mean, my kids are all adults. They can get whatever they want. Yes, exactly. And not having to match seams is fun. These are just, whoops, my scissors. These are just 9 patches, so it's not too bad. But it could get to a certain point where I can't match seams anymore. I can't see. How many people do we have in here with us today? Oh, we have 38. Very nice. We have a chatty bunch going on today. I thought maybe we had more people. Wait, a lot of books. How many books? So we got books? Oh, 25 books for Advent? 1640. Oh, I missed something. Oh, Connie, I don't know if I saw Connie. Hi, Connie. If I miss saying hi, or I'm saying hi twice, hi, thank you. I love the bowl cozies too. Once I get them photographed, they will be going into the shop. I think I have 8 of them, and really, I don't know what my issue is, why I keep trying to perfect bowl cozies. I know some shops, they sell really well. I think they would do well at a craft fair. But I can't stop myself from making bowl cozies. Now, I do use mine, but I have one that I made with Dollar Tree pre-cut strips that I just use the same one over and over again. But I have issues. I have issues, guys. I admit it. Hi, Angel from Phoenix, just down the road from most of us. Oh, no, not postcards, Sue, but just, I know, I had talked to you about making postcards, but when I had these left over, I thought they would be good because they're wide enough to make coasters, and coasters, I think Scrappy coasters are just fun. Now, I didn't have my new stuff on sale in the shop, but someone did have a little bit of fun and went coaster crazy. They bought all of the new 9-patch coasters that I put in the shop. I thought that was really fun. That made me happy. Just because I think they're really cute, and I love those 9-patch coasters. They're super quick and easy to make, and I think they're just fun to use too. I make gifts to give to friends in shops where I go every year. I make from 70 to 100 of them. Wow, you need to start early. Good thing you're all done with your other projects. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Ta-da. Because otherwise, I mean, Giovanna was really busy working with beads and paper beads and all of that. You were really going crazy with that. So now, yeah, you have to hunker down. You have to make sure too. It's a simplest project, right? I think coasters are fun because I always talk about having a bowl at the door, so when friends come and visit, like if they drop off a gift and you don't have something for them, if you have, I think, yeah, I'll just leave that there. If you have a bowl with either wrapped gifts or just unwrapped gifts, I think coasters and little ornaments and stuff, people can grab a gift on the way out after they've come and visited you or stuff like that. If you have, I don't know what people do anymore. I don't know how many places still have like carolers or something. But I always feel bad if someone brings over a little gift, whether it's food or, I mean, I eat food, but you know, I don't eat food with my allergies or wine. But if they bring over a little something, I kind of want them to take something home with them. You were in temps earlier this summer, Jackie. Now you're in Tempe. The temps have gone down, and I'm loving it. I was going to open the window, but I was afraid the AC would kick on while we were chatting, and I haven't heard it kick on all day yet. So it's kind of nice. If it was just me in this house, I would have the AC off and all the windows open. But my room is the coolest, so I wouldn't do that. Justin's room is the warmest all year round, so I put him in charge of the air conditioner until a certain point when we have the AC set at 76. So when the temp drops below 76, you know, the air just won't turn on. I haven't checked it overnight. Excuse me, I have to get a tissue. I haven't checked it overnight, but I know when I get up in the morning between 6 and 7:30 that it's always been 76. I haven't seen the temp in the house drop yet. The AC unit is right outside my window. Like if you could open the window and pop out the screen, you could easily just barely reach out and touch it, so that when it kicks on, it gets really loud with the window open. So I didn't want that to happen while we were chatting. Oh, batch make them. Yeah, you have to batch make stuff, especially if you're going to be giving out all those gifts. If I lived in a nice little small town and, you know, go to the shops and stuff, I would love to hand out little gifts like that too. Not everyone's friendly here. There's a lot of, I don't know if the heat makes them, and we had humidity in Florida. Florida people, they just where we lived in Southwest Florida, people drove 100, but people also seem to move, you know, it's south. It's not technically, it's geographically a southern state for Florida, but it's not considered part of the South because it just kind of sticks out like that, and people are weird about stuff like that. But it's part of the South. People just kind of move slower, but they hold open doors and they say hi and they stop and chat. I haven't seen it that much here. There are nice people, and some people will hold the door for you and chat with you, but not everyone does that. You know what? Giovanna told me that I'm working with scraps and I shouldn't be particular, so if this one and this one are together, the colors are similar, I'm not going to worry about it, so Giovanna can't yell at me. Now, I've missed a lot of your chat. I hope you guys are just chatting among yourself. If you really need to talk to me and I missed it, just put it in all caps or someone else will yell my name. I really wish we could like chat out loud, but YouTube doesn't do that. Oh, we have someone new? Okay, I'm going to say, is it Merlin or Merlin from Karachi, Pakistan? 11:30 p.m. Welcome, welcome. So you're a full 12 hours ahead of me, at least for now. Do you do daylight savings time or do you change your clock twice a year over in Pakistan? I'm unfamiliar with half of the United States, let alone other countries. So I don't know if most people still do daylight savings. Yeah, no, for the heat, I think I have it set at 68. Mostly because my daughter gets cold and Robbie's bedroom gets really cold. I just bought a heater. For you guys that have been around for a while, you'll know I just bought a heater for my room. So these are some skinnier strips. I think I need to match skinny with fat, or maybe I'll set those aside in case I need. They're short too, see? So in case I need to add them to another strip. What I'm doing when there's this big width here, I'm not using that strip or that one. I'll use this one. I am putting this up and I'm lining it up with the strip here and the strip there so that this green extra is just sticking out. Again, this is just Scrappy coasters. It's not that big of a deal. Now, doing things like this does take longer to make a coaster than even just a simple 9-patch. But I decided the scraps are already out on the table, and instead of adding them back into my Christmas scraps, let me go ahead and use them up now, right? So that they're not just hanging out and, being everywhere. Then I'll have to deal with them another day. Ooh, seat covers. Yeah, I would have no problem putting a quilt. I have quilts that I made out of panels that I bought when I first started quilting from Joann's, like the world map and stuff. I thought they would be fun for a teacher's classroom, but it was during a time where I just thought people would automatically buy from me, even though I didn't do much social media or have a YouTube channel. So instead of I don't have a dog to use them for or anything. I did at the time, but I just cover my back seats of my car with it. Other than the fact that they would fade like crazy, I would love to cover my seats with a quilt. Definitely nothing too intense or expensive, because getting in and out of the car and rubbing your butt on it all the time would, wear it out. Oh, Jody made it. Hi, Jody. I'm late because I forgot the house keys in my other coat from last night. I'm locked out waiting for Hubs. Oh, no. The one thing that we all love about this rental company is they have the smart locks. So you have to type in a code. You can get in with a key, but you just type in a code to get into the house. And once we all remembered the code and had it all figured out, we just use that. It's really great. Plus, since I park in a garage, I have a garage door opener. I've never parked in the garage before, and I've definitely never had a garage door opener, so I'm feeling very spoiled. Becky, did you get a new car? Murder in My Life? Oh, that sounds Lucy. I know who Lucy Lawless is. That sounds familiar. I know I haven't watched it. I haven't gone up to my Michael's yet, because I know if I go, I'll want to buy things, and I'm trying to avoid buying things. But I want to see, they'd started bringing in more fabric months ago, so I want to see what their new Michael's / Joann's section looks like. kind of just want some yarn, to be honest with you, but a little bit of fabric. If they have like, white on whites and stuff like that, I'd like to pick up some white and gray fabric. Oh, directly onto a seat cover. That's smart. That's very smart. I like that idea. Congratulations. It's always exciting to get a new vehicle. Now when I can, because it lines up, I don't want the seams to be off 1/4 of an inch, right? Because then it looks like I messed up. So I am doing this. It's kind of like, it's scrap sewing, but for those of us that don't want to use tiny crumbs, it's a little bit like crumb quilting. Lining up everything. I'm not even worried. Is it a perfect 1/4 of an inch? Is my strip wonky? Where's my scissors? I have extra in the seam allowance, extra bits hanging off. Do you ever get like little pieces of thread that just tickle the hair on your arms? It scares me because it always feels like a spider. Yeah, with the scraps and everything, especially if you quilt it really well. It's the rubbing on the fabric that's like loose, but if it's really well quilted, I bet you it would last a lot longer too that way. Yeah, Xena, warrior princess. You're right, 100%. I'm like, I know that name is familiar. Yeah, just when I'm matching up the seams, and when it does work that way, I'm just manually flipping the seams because of course, they have to all be going in the wrong direction, right? I think I want to go through my fabrics and just cut up a whole bunch of, oops. I don't normally cut squares, or maybe I'll go through like all of my leftover charms and just make a whole bunch of 9-patch coasters, just some random stuff. The seam in the middle would be good, except for it, then it ends up, I would have a lot extra, the pieces and stuff like that. So if I don't worry about, oh, look at that. Of course, random, right? Just totally just sewing. And I ended up with 3 pieces of the green. I'm going to hold these off to the side for a minute just to see. I even took some of the snowman fabric that you can see right there and cut some, oh, look, the snowman's right there, for my little scrap bits to put underneath the machine. Excuse me while I reach in front of you. I'm such a rude host. Don't remember people's names, reach in front of you. Oh, a pot holder. And a plate holders for Christmas. Like the quilted ones. You have to do it all, Jody. And Jody, you're not allowed to because we know your personality. You'll get excited and start all of them. And then in 3 years at Christmas time, we'll be talking about the projects you didn't finish. So you have to pick you don't have to. I recommend you pick your favorite and then just work on that project. Write the rest down in a project book so that you can remember what you want to make. And then when you get that one finished, you can come back and do the next one. But I think quilted car seat covers would be really good for you because you do have a lot of random scraps and whatnot. I'm just grabbing all of my, excuse me, I probably put my head right in front of you. All of this. I want to press these. I don't have to. I could sew more together, but then it gets a little bit wonky. Wakey, wakey. It's a seep. It has water. I'm just catching up on everyone. Oh, yeah. When Rob and I, we would go shopping like at Aldi's and stuff, we would always grab a little. They had their generic little, those Hostess pies with the, they're like kind of fried basically, and then they have that glaze on top. We'd always pick one of those, even though we lived like 2.5 miles from the store, so that we can have a snack on the way home. Yeah, never go shopping on an empty stomach. That is 100% truth. I try not to, but sometimes, like when you're spending the whole day out doing stuff, you just don't have a choice. And I do make bad decisions when I shop hungry. So, coasters and hot pads, in my opinion, is definitely something that you can use up a lot of scraps on. People don't seem to mind, or if you're doing it for yourself, the craziness, because I say they don't mind, but what I'm really thinking is like they don't care, because if you make them something really nice, even if it only takes you 10 minutes, they think it's the most fancy thing they've ever seen, and then they won't use it. They'll just hang the pot holders up, and the coasters will be decorations. But if you make it scrappy, even simply the 9-patch coasters, then they're like, oh, that's okay. I need to get a couple of things over here. Definitely. Whoop. Don't knock over the phone, Robin. Sorry if I'm shaking. Close your eyes. I didn't think I was going to need this, but I want this. And I need water. This little guy, he steams really well, so he runs out of water quickly. And then when I'm picking stuff up, it's nice to just be able to set it down and know that I'm not going to scorch my mat. But yeah, the crazier, like you don't want to go what would be considered ugly scrappy unless you're doing it for yourself. But a little bit of scrappy, people tend to use what you give them more because they don't think it's as fancy and stuff. Tracy has a lot of tutorials for pot holders. That's fun. For me, I have a stack that I keep on top of my refrigerator. Now, for gifts, I would probably look at other things, but for my own personal pot holders and hot pads, I like to kind of do that like scrappy courthouse steps, log cabin, crumb quilting, where you just kind of like sew all of the scraps together until it's big enough. I like to have all my hot pads are like rainbow, so I have a red one and a blue one, and green one, and brown ones, and black ones, and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't really go to the grocery store either. When I do, I do like to wander around and look at different things, and then of course you end up spending more money than you planned on. I definitely enjoy the Walmart delivery. Now, I do want to start going to Winco because I don't go out that often. I don't have to put gas in my car, but every 4, 6, 8 weeks. And Sam's Club is on the other side of town, and because I have a membership, oh, look, I did end up putting two pale blues together. Not worried. I like to get gas there. That's what I did back home, and I'll do it again. And they have a Winco right near Sam's, and they have a lot of like bulk bins, and I find they have really good produce here. So that's where I want to, when I go to an actual store, that's where I want to go to just stock up on certain things and when I want fresh fruits and veggies. Walmart has never been a good place to get fresh fruits and veggies, no matter what state I live in. Let me put the water back up for now so I don't spill it. And then I think I'll just sew the next 2 rounds together and see what that gets me. Let me move this out of the way so you guys don't stare at the iron. And I have these as backup still. Now, if I wanted to, I could cut these into about 7-inch strips. But I think I'll wait because that way, when I sew these 2 long pieces together, if I cut it off right here, then this part's already sewn together and I won't have to sew it later. Now the air conditioner is kicking in for the first time today at 20 minutes to 12. So I don't know that we'll actually make any coasters today, but let me just give you a quick rundown. Make the front of it, and I'll probably quilt it either right down somewhere on one side. There's a lot of seams, so I'll only do one side versus the two with the 9 patch. Or I could do like 4 diagonal lines across it, maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches apart. Cut them into, after they're quilted, cut them into the 6.5-inch squares, and then right sides together with the backing. I'll also need to quilt the backing. No, I don't quilt the backing on the coasters. I quilted them on the bowl cozies. So just basic coasters at that point. Oh, something silly, yeah. Jody, you might want to think about either leaving a key with a neighbor or having a hide a key somewhere. I know it's a little dangerous nowadays to let people know that you might have a hide a key, but, you know, getting stuck out, it could be raining or cold or something, and then you're stuck outside. Because let's be realistic, you know, many of us have locked ourselves out one way or the other. Sometimes we can't remember what the stupid code is to get in the door, and you have to have a way, either an extra key in your car, because if you're going somewhere, you'll be in your car. I'm just setting these out so I can kind of see what I have. So these now measure 2.5 inches, and this one is 3 inches. So it looks like I need to put 3 strips together. Ooh, pre-shredded carrots. That makes it easier. Don't you have fruit in your grocery? She has fruit in her grocery, but not in her. She didn't buy any, unless you're talking about me, and then we have junk. Ooh, bean stew. Yeah, I bought stuff for taco soup. This week I need to make, I was craving biscuits and gravy. So let's see if I have these 2, and then I'll put these 3 together. And I bought stuff for taco soup. And this one, and this one. Since we know we have a lot of that green stuff, let me see what else I have. So we'll put these 3 together. And then let me just get a narrow one and a wide one. And these 3 together. A narrow one. Guess another narrow one. Not that one. Ooh, itchy nose. 2, and then 3. And that leaves these 2 plus these scraps. So we'll see if that gets me what I need. Again, this is like taking up time, but it's kind of relaxing to me, and I'm hanging out with all of you. It's nice to have a quick and easy project. It's really hard to say, okay, let's sit down and quilt, you know, a big old quilt or something like that. Because I have to concentrate, and if I can't pay attention, you know. Jody's husband made it. Yay. Oh yeah, you have a car. I was thinking you have to walk, but you have a car, yeah. Yeah, you need to, I mean, having a hide key, like I said, it could be scary because people will look for it on your car or at your house. But if you have your house hidden at someone else's house, and they have their key hidden at your house, then everyone would have to know whose house has which keys, right? Because if I had Jody's key and they found it, they couldn't get into my house. I am going to sew these 3 together. I keep an extra key in my bag, and I close the door, I check. Yeah, some doors like close automatically, so you have to be really careful to make sure you have, your key with you. It didn't close. I love sewing with scraps. Come here, come here, come here. There we go. I find the creativity to be fun. Trying to figure out what scraps to put where and everything. It's very relaxing to me. And if you're someone that doesn't really, you want to work with scraps, but you don't know how, and it stresses you out, I always recommend just using the same fabric line or using the same color, and then everything's going to match. So you don't have to worry, what does this go together or something. Like my theme is Christmas. And these all came from the bowl cozies. And I know they're fun, and I tried to, after I made the front, I tried to keep the back in that same kind of color feel, the bright colors and not, dark things or anything like that. Yeah, I better stay like that. Sue's been working on that men's tie quilt. Working with ties, it's extra work, and it's usually because it's like you don't just go out and buy a bunch of ties and make a quilt. It's usually a memory style quilt, and it takes a bit. Plus, not everything people give you to make into like memory quilts and projects is clean. So if you have like a smoker or something, their ties might smell, or they might have like food on them or something. And if they're old, it's kind of gross. Yeah, I do phone, wallet, and keys is our family mantra when we go out the door. I've tried to leave without my keys before. I have gone places without my wallet. That's never fun. I don't have things on my phone. I'm afraid of losing my phone and having someone figure out how to get into it or something. Or just, I don't know, technology's crazy. People are smarter than me. I don't want to put like my credit card into my phone. So, I don't. Hydrate. Itch the nose. So there is the basic look to a coaster. Mac and cheese bites in the air fryer. That sounds really good. Scraps are the best, and they're even better when you work with someone else's scraps, especially if someone else uses scraps similar to your style. That's fun. It can be a little bit harder and not as enjoyable if you're working with scraps from, scraps you don't like. Civil War scraps are really particular, so if you don't care to sew with those types of fabrics, using someone else's scraps isn't as fun. But if they're just basic everyday scraps, I find it enjoyable. Because after a while, sometimes I'll just throw some of my scraps out because I've sewn with it so many times already, and I've had enough. I don't want to do it anymore. That's when it's a good time to trade with your friends, to pass it on. Now, this one is long and short. I could trim it off, but I'll just eyeball it. Line it. I can line it up here. Again, this is larger than what I need, so I'm just guesstimating. Projects like this is really good for a nice steamy iron, if that's what you do, if you put water in your iron, and the wool mat and the clapper to get everything nice and flat. Bye, Tracy. Have a great weekend. Happy November. Yeah, too many hackers. I do have my bank information on my phone, Well, let me tell you, they make it hard enough for me to get in. I'm sure that I know there are people smarter than me and that someone else could probably get in. It's like, my goodness. I do as many safeguards as I'm familiar with, you know, two-factor identification or whatever. I put in all the authorizations and stuff, and my credit cards are set to text me every time I make a purchase, or anyone else does, so I know. Sometimes you have to set a limit, and I'll just put a limit of like $5 if they'll let me. So I want to know, one, did it go through when I bought something? And two, has anyone hacked into my account? Oh, all the ties were cleaned? Ooh, silk in the washer and dryer. Wow. Yeah. Well, if she's going to be washing the quilt anyways, they would have to go through and get, you know, be able to go through the washer and dryer. They'll probably do better on the quilt compared to on their own, but I made a wedding dress quilt for someone where they had their wedding dress, and then they wanted just patchwork, you know, like 12.5 inch, 9.5 inch blocks or whatever. They didn't wash it first, and it had dirt on it, and they dragged it through the grass and the mud and everything. I'm like, my goodness. Food spilt on it to the point where the dress was stained. You know, there was parts on the bottom that I couldn't even use. That was fun because it was my first commissioned quilt and I was so nervous. But it was just a simple David's bridal type of I probably should do these two while I'm at it. David's bridal, I think she at the time in the like 2005 time, she only spent like $79 on it, so at least it wasn't super scary. But yeah. All right, let's put these two together. If you don't like the fabric in your scraps, yeah, cut them smaller. Exactly. And flip them over too and use them from the other side. Sue's making a really, I've seen the pattern that Sue is following for the quilt, and she'll show us. I'll help you, Sue, if you need to. I can post it on the community tab if you can't figure it out. I'm pretty much going to be, once I find the time, I'll be closing down the Facebook group. We don't really use it. It's not something that, you know, it was just there so you guys can pop pictures up. But there's other ways to show what you're working on. So that will be getting closed down soonish. It's on my post-it notes somewhere. But yeah, we can put it up on the community tab. So if you want to show it off once it's done. It's a really nice layout. I like it. Just ties are a lot of work. Wow, Giovanna. Wedding dress. There's ways that you can do a tie quilt that, you know, probably wouldn't be as hard and difficult, but it all depends on the pattern and the ties and stuff. If you're making a wall quilt, it's a lot easier because I think then you can get away with not seam ripping and taking the ties apart. I have seen people that work with ties a lot. The first thing they do, you know, they wash them and then they take it all apart to take out that interfacing that they have in there and stuff. You know, they make bags and they use them for like the handles and stuff like that. It's kind of fun. Not my kind of fun, but somebody's kind of fun. All right, that gives us 5 inches, so we do need to have one more on here. I think if I put this one on, even though the light blues will be together, I could put over here. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, I've heard some of those sewing guilds, they have like a swap table where they just dump a bunch of fabric down and then, you know, drop off fabric, pick up fabric. I think when you go to the guilds or to like the sewing retreats and stuff, it would be pretty easy to grab someone else's scraps or to set up a little swap. All right, so there we are on this. Now we'll get these all pressed and then we'll cut them. It's only 12 o'clock, so we might get a coaster out of it. Put you there. Extra threads. All right. Clappers. These are clappers. If you're not aware, they're just chunks of wood. These are from Riley Blake. A tailor's clapper is longer. Quilter's clapper is shorter. Someone was generous enough and sent me both of these. You can do this yourself with just pieces of wood from the hardwood store. I would just sand them down really well. A lot of people sell them and they have like the different wood inlays in it and everything. Mine are kind of smooth. You get the oil from your hands and they sit right where my computer is, so they get kind of dusty and stuff. I really like them. Oh yeah, the retreat friends, I would imagine they would be like really fun scraps. I'm just skimming comments real quick. Dun, 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 dun. Yesterday I went to send my swap to the US and I was told by Italian Postal Service that they don't send parcels. Yeah, with the whole tariffs and all that stuff, it's gotten a little bit difficult, Giovanna, and expensive. A lot of shops, small businesses, just aren't doing it anymore. I am not going to worry about setting my seams first. Just going to go like this. I just want them to lay flat. If my fabric stretches a little, see, like I've got wonkiness going on. So let's see. Everybody should go this way. And I'm really kind of just concerned with the main part because that's where I'm going to get my 6.5 or 7 really. Where's my itty bitty rulers behind me? I'm not going to do a ton of quilting, and I think I will just quilt straight down on the seams. So that just gives me like 6 3/4, so that'll be fine. And then with the clappers, if you just set it down, it'll weigh it down and help. But I don't think I'm going to have enough room to really be a clapper girl today. So we'll just kind of put this over here. Hi, Beverly. We are making Scrappy coasters today. I just pressed from this side. And the seams don't even need to all go in the same directions because I'd already pressed some one way and these will just go wherever. I twisted a couple seams because the way they matched up. Lots of steam. See, I have these quilting, ow, it's hot, quilting lines here. As long as they're not, like this one's a little loose, so if they're coming up, I'll pull them out. Otherwise, they're just going to add a little extra interest to the quilting going in the opposite direction that I plan on quilting it. Yeah, the person in the U.S. would have to pay a lot of taxes on that. You know, some people are saying like they're paying, you know, $80 or $100 for an item that doesn't even cost that much. And there's something going on. I don't pay that much attention to it because it keeps changing, right? Like I want to be in the know. I want to be knowledgeable and understand these things. I don't have international sales, and I think I have most of them turned off anyway because there's certain rules and certain country things and all that. So I just have them turned off since no one's buying from me internationally. If someone wanted to, they could say, hey, I live here, can you send them? But the rules are going to change again sometime in November or go up for debate. So it's like, it's hard to keep up with. So there's some shops that are like in Canada. Some shops in other countries do a lot of business and sales to the US versus to their own countries. So they're really trying to keep up with all of these tariffs and taxes and fees. And some shipping places just aren't set up to do it. Some places collect it when a lot of the small shops are trying to collect it when you purchase from them versus the big surprise when it comes in the mail and then you have to return it. And then the shop has to give a refund. It's really a waste of time and money for everyone. So it's just crazy. I know other countries have all of these fees too, and we've been really lucky not to have all the extra things. So it does get a little confusing for us since we haven't had to deal with it before. And then, of course, as Giovanna found, some places just don't do it. I know the people in Canada have been having a lot of problems with Canada Post, trying to figure it all out. Nowadays, you have to like set up machines to do certain things and program things or buy new machines, and postal places don't want to do that when things just change the next month or when the next president comes through or something. It's not a permanent thing. I used to enjoy doing swaps. I did the crochet ones with the granny squares and stuff. I had so much fun doing those. But now the cost of yarn and shipping, things get a little difficult. And so many people just run out of time or money, and then they don't participate and they drop out, and it makes it hard on everybody. Being organized is very helpful in anything. Yeah, if I were going to a retreat, I'd be that person that brings 5 suitcases for a weekend vacation because you never know what you're going to need. I would want, like a morning project and an evening project, and one when people talk to me and distract me, and one that I can sew on my own. It's kind of hard. My nose is so itchy. Thank you, Sue. I think they're going to be fun. And if people, if let's say Sue bought these and gave them to her kids or something for Christmas, and they're like, whoa, Mom, that's crazy. They can just turn it over and use this side of the coaster. That's why I like to have a solid one piece of fabric on the back. So if the person doesn't like the wackadoodle on the front, they can just flip it over. Yeah, Jody, well, I think Jody, even when you're feeling good, like you probably wouldn't accomplish much at a retreat. You might need to take like a bin of scraps and iron them and cut them or something like that because you like to socialize. Okay, so now I'm not going to be super concerned if they're a little shy. This is, let's see if I can show you. Sneak in and make it stupid floor. Some of it comes like right to the edge and some is a little bit. If it's just shy, it'll get sucked into the seam allowance because 1/4 inch seam allowance, 3/8 inch seam allowance, it all balances out. Now I can just take like one of these pieces and add it on if I want a little extra wiggle room, but I think it's going to be okay. For the project, it's not, I do need to like get right over the top to be able to see all sides of the ruler. I'm going to cut it a little bit wider than the 6.5. So instead of putting it right here, I will put my extra fabric on the left. So if I wanted it 7 inches, I'd put about a 1/2 inch there versus like here and there. This way I can cut right along the ruler. I have this seam right here that is going to, you know, be an issue for the next one. Plus there is a little stretch to this because all the seams aren't pressed perfectly flat, so I could stretch it out a little bit more as needed. But sometimes I'll have a 1/4 inch seam and sometimes I'll have a little couple of threads less. I could also come down here and then I'd have a good solid chunk. That might be smart too. Let me cut this side even, and then I'll come over and give myself that little bit extra, and then I can cut right at this seam here, and that'll leave me this piece. This is like really like crumb quilting when you have these extra bits left over that you have to decide, do you keep, do you sew them together again? So there is one. Now I just evaluate each one and see where the seams are and where the ends are. This one is plenty big enough, so I'll leave myself a little extra there, and I think I'll cut right here on this seam. Yeah, you can recover pot holders. I've also recovered quilts before. These are going to start, before I sew them together, they're 6.5 inches. They should finish around 6 inches. I've been trying to make all of my coasters the same size. Brace the wonky, exactly. Yeah, I'll just sew these, like since these are, it's a nice even cut, I'll probably trim this a little smaller because of all those seam allowances so close to the edge, and then just keep sewing them together until I get it into one big piece. And if I want to make it a little bit different, I can get a piece of red or green or white fabric, or I can sew this piece right here and then add another piece. So then it adds a little bit more creativity to it. I would definitely do this if I were making like a quilt and I wanted to have some fun blocks. I would do that. Did I cut this? Yeah, I just cut this one extra large. Again, just a little extra quilting that I won't need will be fine. So this one, I think I will do the trim off this side. That's trash, that's that. And the smaller pieces, if they don't get used, I can turn them into a fabric postcard. And I'll trim on this seam there. And that's 3. I might get my 8 out of this because I have this big empty space here, right? And I can see that it does have a little, there's bias in here. It's a mess. It's a hot mess, just like me. And it's fine because it'll all work out in the end. So this one definitely has some extra. Now when I trim this after quilting it, I am not going to save those pieces. I trim closer to the seam allowance, even though this one's a little big. There's 4. So I can flip this over, see where all my seam allowance is, and then just trim it off. Because I don't want to have all that extra bulk in there and to deal with that. These Missouri Star Quilt Company rotary cutters are great. I love the ball bearing in it, but when I want to just like use it as a razor blade, it's hard because it just spins freely and it makes it a little difficult, but I do my best. So I could take this little bit off here. Yeah, I was wondering if I could make, I wanted to see if I could find my quilt shop, the one that I'm going to enjoy going to, make friends with everyone, and then I want to see what they do with like their leftover bits and their scraps. I would even, you know, be more than happy to make something and give it to the shop to show different ways that you can use your scraps and stuff. I'm like, what are you guys throwing away? Do you have someone you give them to? Oh, that's great. I'm so happy for you. Oh, you just throw them in the trash? Well, can I have them? You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's just go ahead. You guys have the basic idea on sewing together. I feel like we're just kind of hanging out versus having a tutorial type thing today. I do have coasters on my channel. So this one, I'll just because I'm going to trim everyone while I'm standing here. That can go there and that can go there. My patrons, I have more coaster videos for them. So that might be some of the videos that I have the seams that I'm just looking at here. Oh, that's trash. So I want to take and just get rid of those seams. Ooh, sewing with scraps always takes a little bit more time, a little bit more effort, but overall, I think if it's what you enjoy, it's worth it in the end. I'm just going to leave that one off to the side. I don't know. I'll find the use for that yet. There's a sewing expo. It's in January this time coming around. The next one, Jody? Yeah, I've only seen online guilds here. I haven't seen an actual local one, right? And then I have the long pieces. That's going to make life easier there. Flip this over. There's a seam. There's a seam and a seam really close. So, okay, you know, I'm working with scraps and it feels like I need to use every little bit, but I know that I don't. And that's one of the lessons that I needed to learn. So I just trimmed that up. And yeah, I trimmed off some and, you know, it may feel like a waste or something, but it's okay. We're just dealing with scraps. I would make scrap beads, but I really want to get the stuff that you coat them with, Giovanna, to make them waterproof so they're actually usable as like jewelry. And I just don't have that all set up. And that would be like another, while I have the fabric, it would still end up being another craft where I need to buy more supplies for. So I'm trying to behave and keep everything reasonable. But that is something I would like to do in the future. Trim off, there's seam allowance left and the fabric's not there anymore. So I'm just gonna trim that off. Where's my scissors? There they are. These are the Missouri Star scissors. I made it as a paid promotion thing because the fabric is from Missouri Star, the scissors, the rotary cutter, all of it was what Missouri Star sent me. So I decided, you know, to put it out there. And I do like these scissors and I've been using them a lot, but I still use the Kai scissors for like zipper pouches and stuff. I just use these and for like regular cutting and stuff like this. It works out really well. They're decent scissors. I'll have to look. I don't know if I'll go, but you know, is that the one in off like Northwest Phoenix area, like? Oh, yep, Giovanna, I'm wasting fabric. And I do not like to stuff fabric into pin cushions and stuff. Yeah, so like this stuff here, you could, if you don't want to do fabric postcards, you can make pin cushions with that real easily because they're like squarish, rectangle-ishes or something or another's. Valerie made alive. I'm so sorry. We'll keep you occupied. I know how hard that is. I'm not that I'm looking forward to anything, but I'm not looking forward to having to do that. This is it. I don't think I can handle any more death in my life. So this is it for kitties for me for now. Everyone in the house wants a dog, but nobody wants a dog. You know what I'm saying? Everyone wants to own a dog, but the whole process of being a dog owner is a lot. And mom's not taking care of them. Hi, So Terry. I think live streams like this, you know, I'm not like tooting my horn, but live streams like mine are, I think they're great for people who want to just be in the background. They're great. It's not a busy chat. I don't bring in a lot. We have 45 people today. I don't have a busy live stream. You know, I don't have, 500 people or 1,000 people. So you can chat and not, still keep up and not get lost. So it's really nice for a live stream like this to hang out and chat with people. And it's also great to listen to me ramble and have, get your stuff done. So these, I have personal stuff here that no one wants to know about. At the entrance of your nose, where you have the two nostrils and you have that piece of, whatever, I want to call it material between your noses, the bodily material. I have a pimple right there. And my nose itches at the same time, and I keep hitting that little pimple. It's driving me crazy. I think we can all relate. Yes, I have this. This is in my, it's in my YouTube videos. This was an ice cream. I think the title is something like How to Take an Ice Cream Koozie and Make a Basket. I think it's under quick projects. If you comment on this live stream after it's done being live, if you can't find the video, just put a comment on the no longer live stream, like when we're done chatting, and I'll look it up for you if you can't find it. But it used to be an ice cream cozy, and I showed how to make a basket for it. It's really great for my clips. I've been using this for several years now. I just love it. And it's squishable, so I can put it in the back of my table and fit it everywhere. Yeah, the divider in my nose, I don't know, it has a name. Where's your septum? Is that a septum? Or is that inside your nose? But you know what I mean, right? It's just driving me crazy. Sue, do you want to travel? Right? Our kids want us to do things and they get us excited. I know mine do, but they don't understand on what my limits are and what I do and don't want to do. And they want me to do the things they want me to do, but it doesn't always fit into what I want to do, if that makes sense, right? So this one would be kind of another one that's close, that I had to be really careful with the seam allowances. My kids are like, Mom, you don't get out enough. You should get out. I'm like, where do you want me to go? Oh, I'd have to spend money. I'd have to drive 2 hours. And what am I going to do when I'm there? Talk to myself? Oh, yeah, that's going to be great. That'll be fun. I'm like, leave me alone. I'm happy, right? They're like, you can't be happy. You're home all day with nobody. I'm like, yeah. I'm hanging out with a great conversationalist. I talk to myself. I chat with you guys. I make my videos. I said I'm fine. When I want to go somewhere, I'll go somewhere. But it's going to be somewhere worth going that, I want to go to, not just because I should leave the house. I have noticed, like, we're getting into winter and I'm going outside in the yard and puttering like I enjoy doing. And, there's some weeds to clean. I used to feed the birds in the backyard until the neighbors started feeding the birds, and I'm like, let them have the expense. So twice now I've grown corn in the backyard, so I'm looking out my window and I could see stalks of corn growing. I think they're about 2 feet tall now. We won't eat the corn or anything, but I think it's just kind of cool that there's corn growing in my backyard in Arizona. In the valley. Right? Valerie, if I'm happy, if I'm just sitting at home staring at TV all day and I get up and I move around and I'm healthy and I'm mentally okay, then whose business is it? We have strangers on the internet will say the same thing too, like, you have to get out. You can't stay home. Like, why can't I? Look at that. 2 scraps, and they're gonna line up perfectly. So I just flip them. And then this is definitely not enough. So those are enough. Let me sew these 2 together. So what do we need? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I can't see them, they're all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need 3 more to match the fabric and the batting. I'm using cotton batting. The scraps that I'm using today, I think it's called Cotton Dream batting or something. It's 100% cotton, which is good to absorb any condensation and to protect the table. But I don't know. It was something my crafty godmother sent me to try out. I want this to be 6.5, so I'm gonna put it over on the 6.5 and look, and it says I need 2 more inches. So that means I need like 2.5. And then I think I'll sew that one on there. And then I have this one that I'll put on that side. Trim it, trim it. Yeah, what are you going to go out and do? And it's like when you become a widow, you lose that buddy, right? That buddy system that you can drag your spouse along with you and go and do different things and chat about it. When you go by yourself, even if you're bored or you see something exciting, or help me make a decision, should I go to this store or that store? Should we eat here or there? You know, it makes a difference. So I think you need a buddy system, Sue. I think you need a local buddy. The problem comes is a lot of times the people that are looking for buddies to hang out and do stuff with, they're not always in the same geographical area. So it makes it hard, right? To have the buddy system, to take someone with you. And after a while, do you really want to spend money? Ooh, the stairs. Yeah, that's not fun. Yeah. If I'm happy, look, don't take your unhappiness and push it on me. Don't, not my kids, just in life in general. If you know, what I don't understand, I'm just going to use this as an example, right? So you have like the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses. They usually, we've seen a lot of Mormons here because of where we live. We had them in Florida a lot too. But when you have a church type person that comes to your door and they want you to find your Savior, Jesus Christ, and all that, and they really push their religion on you, right? So they say it's their right to have their religion. But if I say that I have a different religion, or if I say I want to stay home, or I don't want to eat vegetables or something, how come your right supersedes mine? Why are you shoving it down my throat? Let me be, right? Let me find my way, and if I want help, I'll ask for help. I think after a certain age, some people like to get out and some people like to stay home. And I think it's fine either way. I know if I go out, when I come home, well, now I'm going to be dehydrated. I'm going to be in a lot of pain the next day, and I'm not going to be able to do anything. And why? Just because I went out and about? You know, I do like exploring and doing things, but then I had to come home and realize, you know, I'm 3 days behind by leaving one day. Because if you go out on Monday, you have Monday's work, and then Tuesday comes along and you still have Tuesday's work, and now you have to do 2 days at once. I don't know. That's just the way I think. I think everyone should be able to do whatever makes them happy, as long as it's not hurting themselves or somebody else. There's your little PSA from Robin. The PSA no one wanted, but you got it anyway. So my apologies if you didn't want it, but yeah, just let us be. We're happy. We're happy people. Most quilters are happy people. Give us some fabric. Let us make something and we'll be good. All right, see, I'll just trim off the junk. Get rid of that. There's one. And is this one gonna make it? Oh, this one's not gonna make it. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna trim a little off of this side. And that's just a process of making, now I'm kind of really making like crumb quilts. And because I don't want to just add a 1/2 inch, right? I want to make sure I'm adding a decent amount down there, because otherwise it's all going to be in the seam allowance. And, you know, these two, hey, they look good to sew together, so I'm just going to sew those together. When you're working with scraps like this, it's really easy to overthink it, and I think that's where people kind of like lock themselves in. They try to make too many decisions and make things match. While making sure my scraps are universal, it makes it a lot easier for me to just sew without having to think. Come on, scraps. All right, let me check the comments. Oh no, at least they're not ringing the doorbell to harm me. Sometimes I want to chat with them. In Florida, I would let them come in and chat with me for a while because I enjoy talking to people in different situations than mine and finding common grounds and stuff like that. But the problem is once you answer the door and say hi and let people come in, you get put on that list and then everyone wants to come in and talk to you. But I only wanted to talk that one day. I didn't want to talk again. Right? That was a one day that I was feeling very much of an extrovert and I wanted to chat because I have a random bit of knowledge. I can chat about a lot of different things and I do enjoy talking to people, but some days I want to close the bedroom door, close the house door, you know, and just not talk to people and not feel guilty about it. I don't feel guilty when I get a pint of ice cream and enjoy it for dinner. Or popcorn for dinner. That's always good too. Jody's got something figured out. Oh yeah, if you're taking care of people in the home, then you definitely, somebody's making lunch, I can smell it. Then, you know, you do need time away, whether it's time upstairs because, you know, I think Jody has a 2 or 3 story home and you have a craft room up in like the attic, I believe. I wouldn't want to like leave certain people alone because they might, you know, medically need help like moving around and stuff. But I have no problem telling someone I've gone out for the day or went to take a nap or something and then sneak up to another part of the house and sew or something like that. I mean, we have to have our release. However your release is, if you're gardening, because some of you guys garden as your release and you have some really pretty flowers and stuff. And I like to do scraps or knit, and you might like to make paper beads or fabric beads. There's something for all of us, right? Cooking is not my release, I'll tell you that much. My freedom ends where yours begins. Yeah, and I've seen some things online like, my freedom does not end where your feelings begin. Because some people, it's more of a feeling police thing than, you know, like the real things. So we all have our thing. And I can change my mind tomorrow and do something different. Hi, Lee Allen. I'm not sure if I said hi to you. You might have snuck in on me. Yeah, I think after a certain point sometimes we get a little nervous about having medical things done. And after, like we suffer a lot and then we get the medical thing taken care of, and we're like, wow, I wish I had done that, 7 years ago, because now I can move around and I feel so much better. This will become one fabric postcard. I have I saved the darts, the little triangles from the bowl cozies that I want to make a fabric postcard with. So I will be doing that. I put butter in one of these to put it in the microwave. I got these at the Dollar Tree and Goodwill. And I'm using it in my room now because I was a fool, and after having hot butter in it, I put it in the sink and put cold water in it. And I don't know, oops, sorry, I don't know if you can see, but it cracked right there in between the 2 layers of glass. And that just means I now have a bowl for my room. Okay, so it's 12:30. We can hang out a little bit more. Let's see if we can get maybe one cozy, a coaster done. So we have this. Let's take one of our bigger ones. You could spray baste it or pin it. I'm gonna sneak over here and quilt and iron the 2 pieces together, because the cotton batting likes to hold on to cotton fabric. Make sure everybody's good. And I'm going to lengthen. I was at a 2.5, so let me change my machine up. Put the stitch. I guess I could keep it at 1/4 of an inch, right? Yeah, let's leave it at 1/4 of an inch. But I'm going to put it up to a 3.0. I don't need to have tight quilting, right? Just enough to quilt it and hold it into place and add that little look to it. So I'm just going to, I really want to quilt down both sides, especially with the extra lines there. So that's what I'll probably do, just because I like the look of it. Maybe I'll do a little less than 1/4 of an inch. Yeah. I can't always decide what I want to do. I have my needle in the center, and I'm going to let it ride. Where is a ruler? Ruler. I think I'm just shy of 1/4 of an inch. No, it's probably about 1/4 of an inch, but it makes me feel better. Sometimes you have to play mind games with yourself. Thank you, Connie. Hi, Connie, if I didn't say hi to you earlier. Look, it's been an hour and a half or so. I can forget who's here and who isn't. Oh, the guys in the shirt with the cable company and stuff, yeah, those aren't good. You have to be careful with that. I just yell through the door, I'm a renter. Because they always do this thing like, your neighbor down the street got this. I'm like, my neighbor down the street must be rich, because they got the high-speed, whatever the new internet is. They've got a new roof. They got solar panels. They got a new front door. They got new windows. I said, you guys have been working hard with that neighbor down the street. And then if you tell them you're a renter, they're like, well, do you have any friends? I'm like, nope, I have no friends. Sorry. No friends. I think with a coaster, it doesn't matter too much if you quilt it, but I just like the look. Plus, we're basically quilters, and it's nice to add a little touch to it. I like the binding on the round quilters, but for the square ones like this, it is just super simple to just put right sides together and turn it right side out, like birthing or something is what they call it. Yeah, not many people want to go up to the 2nd or 3rd floor. Oh, that's nice when you're in a closed-in apartment place and stuff. Everyone tells us we're like in a nice neighborhood and stuff here, so I think those people just like to, some of them are real salesmen. And, you know, they just want to push it on people that they think can afford it. Now, I do have an evil streak. Sometimes I'm just curious. I love knowledge, right? So I want to learn more. And when people tell me, I say, no, thank you, I'm not interested, and they keep pushing it. If I've got some time, I might keep talking to them and asking them questions. If they're going to say, every time I say no, if they're going to push it and push it, then they're going to be hanging out with me for a while until they decide they want to walk away. I'm not making any decisions as a renter, and as a household, it's not up to me to make decisions. It's got to be a group effort. So I learned all about the new, I want to call it laser, the high-speed internet that they bury and stuff, fiber. And I learned about transferring it from house to house when you move and how they put it in the house, but I don't have fiber. Oh, yeah, you can't trust anyone. I've been getting spam calls and it'll say like, this is from Giovanna, and I'll answer it and they'll be like, hi, Robin. And I'm like, I don't like when you call me Robin. Why don't you call me Mrs. LaLone or something? Don't act like you're my friend. And they try to push like solar panels on me or something. And I'll say, hey, I noticed that you're calling from Giovanna's phone. Let me talk to Giovanna. You know, they just put in, they put another spam and spook or whatever they do, the wrong number, so that you'll answer it thinking it's your electric company or something like that. I'm like, no, no. Oh, that's my coworker's phone. I'm like, why are you on your coworker's phone? That's kind of rude. What if she needs to call her kids or something, you know? Sometimes I answer every phone call if I'm expecting something. I don't know all the area codes here. Plus, like mine is a Florida area code. I'm not changing my phone number. I want to make sure everyone's, you know, I don't want to get scammed. Tell me. Oh, with all the extra quilting? Yeah. It does lay flatter. Look, if I'm going to answer my phone, it's probably because I'm in a mood, right? And not in a grumpy mood, but just in one of those weird moods where I don't want to like mess with people because, you know, they called me. They're the problem, not me. But sometimes I just got to make you work a little bit for it. Don't try to scam people. That's not right, especially when they start calling older people. Which apparently I'm listed in something because I get a lot of things when you get older and you need to have a funeral and be cremated and all of that stuff. And I'm like, come on, people. As soon as my husband Rob got to be that age, I started getting things in my name too. And I'm like, that's not right. I don't want my cats to step on my ruler. I have to move it out of the way. I'm making noises. Okay. So here's my spinning mat that I never used, so now I use it for cutting batting and stuff like that on it. So just put my 6.5-inch ruler, and I'll look because I want to make sure that I'm not right at the seam allowance. And I actually do make it spin, which is kind of funny. So I'll trim this off, and I'm going exactly the size that I want it to be. And then for something that I just think it's hilarious the way my brain works. I never used it to cut fabric and spin, but I do like to do coasters and fabric postcards and have it spin. Look, trash, Giovanna. I'm not keeping it. So there is the beginning of my coaster. And then I'll come over. Now, I'm a little hesitant about this. I might not use this because it doesn't match the level of colors, and I did cut out 2 of them, so I will probably switch that up for something else. But I do have some fun things, like this isn't even in the colors, but it does have the aqua to go with the light blue and stuff like that. So maybe I'll do this one. And I need pins. Things do shift a little, so I do like to put pins, and I'm not a pin person, but look, someone sent me this Sorry about the bouncing when I walk by. Someone sent me this a long time ago, and yes, I still use it. So this is how they used up their little scraps, and they made pin cushions with it. Now, because of the way my brain works, I can only put pins in that center bit area there where the patchwork is. Oh, that was a pin. So I'm just weird that way. Now with my fabric being larger, it allows me to just put it on there, and I'm going to use the coaster edges. Oh, I need to have a tag. Hold on, hold on, hold on. I think I'll just use one of these skinny tags. These will be good. Do what I do, answer the phone and don't say anything and wait to see what they want. And then when they put, I'll do that, or I'll just go, hello, 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 hello. My kids laugh at me because I'll be out there doing dishes and I'll get a phone call and they just happen to come into the kitchen and I don't notice them. And I'm screaming into the telephone because, you know, I know it's not right, but sometimes that same number will call you 3 days in a row until you answer. And I'm like, I've had enough of this. I'm not putting up with it. So this has the Heat and Bond light on the back, which I love because that'll allow me. Sometimes I will double check just to make sure that I'm far enough away from the edges. So then I just take it over and, excuse me, I can iron it in place. I like to put the tags so that it touches. I'll show you in a second. All right, don't bounce too much. I like to have it so it touches the seam there and then the straight edge there. And then I can just take it over and sew it down. And I do, even just for one little coaster, I'll come through. Oh, I put them all away, so I won't do it. The open toe foot is from my Juki, and I had it in my little wooden pineapple. But I put it back into the little container that the Juki has, the little storage container. All right, so I'll just do this freeform. Yeah, I think they did. It's a really cute. It's got arf arf and growl, and then it's got these fun flowers. And she's made me a few projects with this flower fabric has birdhouses and stuff on it. I really like it. It's pretty. I might be older people. However, bonus points for crashing 2 weddings. Oh, you're a wedding crasher. Oh no. Kat stopped answering the phone. Yeah, if it's important to leave a message, 100%. But if you're going to keep calling me, that's when I get into the bit of a mood. Because, okay, I don't want to be rude, all right? I know it's their job and that's how they support themselves and their family. So they do what they have to, but I don't have to help them. I don't have to help them. Oh, yeah, and I have to be really careful. Yeah, you can block a number, Giovanna, but they usually have like 100 numbers. Plus, if they're spoofing it, like when I lived in Florida, I went to Lee Memorial Health System. That was the hospital and the doctors and stuff. So I would start being here, I would start getting phone calls, and the number on the caller ID would be Lee Memorial. So I would answer it thinking, you know, they're having a problem transferring my records or something like that. And no, it's like, they want to buy my house that I sold when Robbie was a baby and now he's 26. So I haven't even lived there in over 20 years and they want to buy my house. I'm like, you guys are crazy. You need to get up to date a little bit. Yeah, it's AI calling. And you know, when you answer the phone, you say hello and there's silence, then it's just a computer calling you. And when you pick up, then it gets transferred to someone's desk and they answer the phone. I'm like, no, thank you. Like I said, I generally either do it because they've called 6, 7, 8, 9 days in a row and I've had enough, or I'm expecting a phone call and I never know who it's going to be, because I'm in Arizona, but I have a Florida phone number. So I never know, and I don't want to miss it, because if you have to call like 3 people to get a hold of a certain extension and they get something else, I'd rather just answer the phone than to have a voicemail type situation. So that's what I do. All right, so here we go again. We have this, and now it's such craziness. And I would choose where to put my label just by the fabrics. I try to like get it to blend in. And I want to try to keep, it doesn't matter when you turn it over if one side's right side up and the other's upside down, but I try to do it. And then I'll just put some pins in away from, why do I do this? I grab a purple and then I grab a pink. I'm like, why don't you just stay on the pink side? Try to stay out of the way so that it just holds it in place without. 1/4 inch seam allowance, leave a spot for turning. I have a straight edge on the top and bottom with no quilting and no seams or anything, so I'll leave the turning hole there as I play jump rope with my cord so that I don't have to try to turn it where there's extra fabric in a seam allowance. Yeah, 5 years ago. It's crazy because they buy lists of numbers, and if they got them really cheap, then that means they didn't pay much for them. So that, hold on, 005.5. So that, it's all out of date. They don't know that anyone has passed away. The state of Florida didn't even know my husband had passed away 2 years earlier, and he got jury duty. So thankfully, I just had to tell him, hey, this is Florida. He passed away. You're the one that gave me his death certificate. He's not going to jury duty. Yeah, some people like to go and see a wedding, like if they're going to get married soon, or, Jody's just crashing for the dancing. I understand why people do it, but I don't know. I couldn't do it. And if I found out, as long as you're not eating the food, I guess it's fine. But I don't know. I don't like it. But only at my own wedding. At anyone else's is like whatever. Live your life, right? That's one of those things. Do what makes you happy. It doesn't matter. If you're not taken away from someone else or costing them money, then if you're just going to dance, I don't really see. Because if they didn't want random people walking in, it would be in a closed event where you couldn't get in the door unless you had an invitation, right? If people were worried about it. I personally wouldn't have a big wedding, so it wouldn't be a problem. And if I had like a full-on wedding, it would be outdoors, so I guess everyone could crash it then. I was just randomly thinking about this the other day. I don't plan on dating again, let alone getting married, but never say never. But I would want to go to City Hall and have Rob and I got married at City Hall. Just him and I, and we actually knew the people that worked there, so we were laughing, we had a good time, and it was just really enjoyable. I would want to get married at City Hall, and then I would want to have a party somewhere with friends and family and do that. But I would want my actual wedding to be a little bit kind of intimate, That's just me. I know a lot of people do the big stuff. But I really don't want to go into a marriage $15, $20, $60, $100,000 into debt. I would rather spend $100,000 and get a nicer home than what I originally thought I could get. And I don't think everyone needs to go to the actual wedding ceremony to see the people get married. I think the party afterwards is, kind of like for everyone. But I'm probably odd man out, and I'm just a little weird, and that's okay. So I trim this around. Yeah, it's hard to, when you just out of the blue and someone says, your spouse's name and they're no longer with you, it's kind of rough. So I do leave that extra bit at that turning. It just gives me that extra area to tuck in, and it's one side of it that I don't have to worry about. I know it looks weird and it seems weird, but it's one of those things, if it works for you, right? I like to give it a nice little press. Now you could quilt the back, but then you would have to put you could just sew on the fabric, I guess. But otherwise, you'd have to put batting and it'd be double thick. You didn't have a big wedding? Oh, that sounds like fun, Jody. Yeah, I'm really not interested in being with someone again. I don't, I mean, people at my age, I'll be 57 in February. Did you guys hear? So, like, we'll be doing a live stream on my birthday. I think that'll just be fun just because, hanging out with friends on your birthday is just fun. But at my age, if I were to fall in love again, it would be someone, I always tend to date someone 4 years older than me. So someone 60 or older. They have possibly they're widowed, or they have their children, their grandchildren or great grandchildren. They have their own credit and financials. You're like going into someone else's life, stepping into someone else's life. Or you have to train a man all over again or just, even if the man is amazing and picks up his socks and does his own dishes, you have to merge your lives together. And I'm just not interested in doing that again. Wow. Yeah. I mean, really, is the wedding ever for the bride? The groom is like whatever. They don't always care. I don't want to be stereotypical, but most times the groom is just like whatever. And the bride is so stressed out and so busy, I'm cutting off the corners. Half the time they have to watch the wedding videos back because they're living the moment and they don't remember, or they didn't see all of it. So I don't know. I'd rather spend the money somewhere else. Hi, Linda. Yep. We're just about to the end. Maybe 15, 20 minutes, maybe 6 hours. No, I'm just teasing. But you'll be able to catch all the rambling from early on. Yeah, I think a nice small wedding with just your family members and stuff is really good. And then yeah, you get the big reception afterward, and then everyone can come, because some of the times if you've got a lot of friends and family, you only have so much space in, like, if you want to get married in a church. So my crochet hook, move the iron. I have a little ironing table next to me. It's a table that I iron on, and my iron's usually sitting like this. And if I have to go in my chest of drawers to get some tools out, I always worry that I'm gonna, like, one day you're gonna see me with a burn on my forehead because I leaned over and I touched the iron. I can feel it. No, never say never. Jackie, I don't know what my plans are, but at this moment, for the foreseeable future, I'm not leaving the house, so I'm not going to meet anybody, right? And yeah, I don't foresee myself doing it, but I'm not against it. I'm just not actively looking. So I'm just going to get the seams, and I'll look and see if I need to poke out the corners a little bit more. If my corners are slightly rounded, ow, it's hot. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to stress because I don't want to force the seams, but I will bring in my point corner poker turner thing here, and I just wiggle and round it a little bit. If you're not a coaster maker or a quilter and a sewist or something, or a crafter, are you even going to notice the corners, right? And then just make sure everybody's tucked in. Get all the threads in. Now with that extra backing, that gives me room to kind of move it in and out to make sure everybody's lined up. It's a little crooked. The words are a little crooked. It's okay. I don't even go too crazy to make sure the front's on the front and the back's on the back. If it sticks out a little bit, it sticks out a little bit. And I usually make a bunch of these at once, so when I do it, depending on the size of the hole, I'll put a clip or two on, just so I know where it is and I don't have to look for it. Then I'll turn all the rest of them right side out, press them, and then I can go back and sew, because I like to start sewing from here. Now, what I've been doing, and nobody has commented on it, so I don't know if anyone even notices, is I do a skimpy seam right here, top stitching, to make sure, because it's only a 1/4 inch seam. So there's not much fabric to catch. So I'll go a little narrow on this side, and when I come around the corner, I widen it up to a little bit closer to a 1/4 inch, and then I stitch it all the way around. So if you own any of my coasters or items like this, take a really close look. You'll notice that my top stitching is very close to the edge here, and then I turn it around that way. Nobody's noticed, nobody's said anything to me, so I think it's one of those things that I can't stitch really close to the edge all the way around. It can be a little difficult to do, but I just do it on the side that needs it. I know I have to leave the house to meet someone, and I'm not interested in leaving the house, so I'm good. At some point when I get a certain age, I'll probably go and hang out at the senior center, and I could meet a friend there. But okay, think about all the things that you would do for companionship, right? If you're dating someone, the different things you would be doing. And other than having someone to go out and about with and hang out with and watch TV and stuff, most of the stuff I'm really just not interested at the moment, to be honest with you. I'm not, oh gosh, plus as you get older, I heard that as you get older, people really they want the companionship. They don't want to be alone. And I think it's because like their family's not around as much. But just based on my previous past experience, I really just don't want to deal with a man right now. I don't want that person to take care of. I'm taking care of myself and I'm still alive. I really don't want to take care of anyone else and keep them alive. And as we get older, it's harder to keep people alive. So I don't want to fall in love and have someone die again. It's just too much. Yeah, I would like, I don't care if my friend is female or male. I would like someone as I get older, like Jody says, to go to bingo and to just hang out with and all that. But I definitely, to the best of my knowledge as of today, I don't want to live with another person. As in share my bedroom, Roommates, whatever. It's nice to have roommates and stuff, but I'm really just not into it. But like Jackie said, you never say never. I already have 2 marriages. I don't want to have a third. I would choose to live in sin. 6.5 inches? That's not a big coaster. Do you think so? I know some people make them 4.5, but I'll show you why I went with this size. First, I can use a 6.5 inch quilt block, right? That makes it fun. Back stitch, trim. I learned with these types of scissors, for some reason, if they don't trim very well, if you just turn them over the other way, they trim better. I don't get it, but whatever, right? Okay, so here's my coaster. What if you have I don't have a big coffee mug in here, but I have a coffee mug that I use for my tea. And then I want to make sure I have enough space. You could have a little bit of a smaller one, but with the size of people's coffee cups and their water bottles and stuff, I've noticed a lot of people like these for their water bottles so it doesn't scratch the table, because mine's metal. And, like I said, a big drink, or you can have a small cup and you can use it like a mug rug and put a cookie on it. So this is now measuring, 6 inches. I wanted to have a size in my shop that's the same-ish size, whether it's 6 1/4 or 5 3/4. I wanted it to finish at around 6 inches so that if you purchase coasters from me today and you come back next month, they'll all be about the same size. And then if you want to take a fabric basket and put your coasters in, they'll all fit. So if you have 4.5-inch coasters from Sally Joe's shop and 6-inch coasters from mine, and you want to put mine into the bin with hers, you know, they won't fit. But I try to just keep them all to the same size for me. That's not a big coaster. Yeah, you guys have giant stuff there. Yeah, just a friend. But I don't, I'm a good friend, but I'm not a everyday good friend because sometimes I just want to stay home and be left alone, right? So I'd like to find another friend that's similar to me that likes to go out a few times a month, but doesn't want to go to the party scene every weekend and stuff like that. You know, to hang out and just chat while sewing or whatever they're doing. So of course, I know I have to get out, but I had to get used to Arizona before I could get out. And I just kind of like to stay home and sew. I'm fine with it. Yeah, some people, like some women get along better with men and some men get along better with women. It's not really that unusual, I don't think. Yeah, you don't have to, I don't want to combine my bank account with anyone else. I don't want to, you know, like you come hang out at my house and, you know, whether we're friends or we're friends with benefits or whatever the situation, you know, if you're going to sleep in my bed or you're going to sleep in the spare bedroom type thing, you know, hang out and watch movies and you get up and go out for coffee or cinnamon rolls or make breakfast or something, whether it's a friend or a boyfriend or whatever. When that time comes, that time will come. It'll just surprise me. 5 inches is good. I know a lot of people take charm squares and turn them into coasters, which comes from the 4.5-inch, you know, size coaster. But sometimes people want a little bit of more room. Will I make smaller coasters? I might. There are some 4.5-inch or 3.5-inch squares, or maybe just a solid piece of fabric, as in like this, not solids. There's always threads on these. You don't know how many times I delete it in videos where I'm stopped to pick up threads, even though I've cleaned it. I've lint rolled it. I've taken pictures. I have it for my Etsy shop, and then I show it on Whip It Wednesday, and I'm always like, there's always threads, because there's always threads on the table. Sally Joe is our imaginary person, Giovanna, so that whenever my family and I talk about stuff, like when you're trying to explain a story and you want to talk about two people, one of them's called Sally or Sally Joe. We don't have any friends named Sally, so if you want to have an imaginary person in your story, you just use the name Sally or Sally Joe, and the kids and I all know it's not a real person. It's just the way we do things. Oh, I'm sorry you lost your friend, Giovanna. Yeah, I'm just now getting comfy, Jody. I'm just, that first year, I just lived in a world of depression. That was hard. Now I'm comfortable. Oops, Arizona's still brown, but I'm okay. If I lived in Arizona, if I lived in Surprise for the rest of my life, I would survive. But if I lived in Arizona, I think we've been here enough that it's been cold, that we're willing to go a little bit into northern Arizona where it gets colder and it snows and stuff. So we're okay. We've outgrown that little bit of Florida heat that we were used to, because Florida, I would be talking to like Sue Smith. Sue Smith and I'd be like, and like I wore jeans for 2 days this winter, and one of the days it was 75, but I wore jeans just to say I wore jeans. Here I'm like sweatpants, hoodie, jeans. I get cold, but so we're used to it now. Yeah, wine glass coasters, the ones that open up that you put the wine glass in. Yeah, I have all my friends here. I chat with you guys. And when I don't want to chat with you, I just turn the computer off, right? I think it's good to have a variety of people in your life. That way you have someone for every situation. And with the way the internet is now, I think it's fine to have online friends that you never meet in person. Like you can have friends, we have someone here from Pakistan. there's, I know I'm never going to Pakistan. I'll probably never go to Colorado, let alone to Pakistan, right? So you can have friends online from all reaches of the world, and I think it's just amazing. From someone who, I was born in 69, so I went, most of my school years were done in the 80s, to think of writing letters to friends and having pen pals back then, to now where you can message back and forth any time of the day and get instant communication with someone across the world. I think it's just an amazing world we're living in. 5 inches square, yeah. Yeah, 75 in jeans, right? You guys are enjoying, you're all hot and wear. I see people wearing shorts. They're like, it's 55 today. We're wearing shorts and a tank top. And I'm like, it's 55 today. I have wool socks and jeans and a hoodie and 2 shirts on. And I'm thinking about putting some gloves on. And that's, it's just different. The weather's different everywhere. Oh, the teleporter. Yeah, the teleporter. But you know what? You can go and do like Zoom calls with your friends, and they have all these different ways to talk to people live and just put them right there on the computer and they can talk back to you. Like if we did Zoom calls, I would have to learn something new, and I hate to learn something new, but we could do Zoom calls and then people could talk and you could see what they're working on and stuff. So I mean there's a lot of things that can be done. I'm just not good at doing things like if you were to say we're going live every Saturday, I'm not good at that, to be honest. The 2 live streams a month is really good for me. More than that, it gets a little hard. Oh, and you learn so much from other people. Like, really? That's such a simple idea. How did I not think of that, right? Oh, you can use a quilt block that's left over to make a coaster or something simple like that. You'd be like, "Huh, I never thought about that. I just learned that from someone else." And what I love about the internet is I find so much information from videos from 5 years ago compared to something that I would learn just from someone today. I'm going to give you one more tip and then I'm going to leave you guys and let you enjoy the rest of your day. I've started watching YouTube on the TV at night. Normally I just put TV on, but I've been watching YouTube and I've noticed that I have a tablet that I watch it on here. When I go to my home page on my tablet, it shows me like the same stuff over and over again. When I went to my home page the other night on TV for YouTube, they suggested a whole bunch of new things that I've never seen these YouTubers, because I'm like, I keep seeing the same people all the time. I want something new, right? Get a branch out. I've watched all their videos. So if you're looking for people that are new, check out the computer if you have one, check out your phone and your tablet, and check it out on your TV because YouTube suggests different channels on different devices. I don't understand why. That's beyond my knowledge base. But if you're looking for something new, head over there and you can find new things to watch and listen to. Whether it's cell phones were invented from Star Trek, that does not surprise me in the least. Oh yeah, I'm wearing shorts too, Jackie. I have socks on. I do have, like I said, the quilt on my bed. And I put a flannel shirt on in the summertime here, just inside the house. When right now in Arizona, I'm in Surprise, Arizona, like right outside of Phoenix, for those of you that don't know the state very well. Excuse me. When you go outside and you stand in the shade, it's kind of cooler and comfortable at like an 86-degree day. And you go out in the sun and it's hot and sweaty. But like when you're going out to the stores and you're walking along, the stores here have big sidewalks with the awnings over it and the roof and stuff to keep you shaded during the summer. So in the winter, it's nice and cool when you're going from store to store because there are malls, but you do a lot of the outdoor stores where you walk from store to store on the sidewalk. So it's a really great time of the year. It's not happening in Florida right now. It's still hot and sweaty there. You don't want some of us talk. Well, I can mute you. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure if you're in a Zoom room with like 6 other people, For free, you have a limit, if I'm understanding correctly. If you pay as the person that's hosting it, then you can have like more people in. But if like I don't want to listen to Jody, I can just mute her. I just turn her off. I had enough of you today, Jody. Yep, I'm going to end now, Giovanna. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. And for anyone that's watching on the replay, I'm going to be working on these coasters for the rest of today, maybe. I have a few projects I have to do, but I'm really not motivated. So I think I'll just play with the coasters, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone. Happy November. I hope everyone had a good trick or treat, and start working on your Christmas projects. I know, it's scary.